This is all just a theory. It's not saying that it's accurate. I'm just saying it could be accurate. There's a big difference between the two. Well, the key is in the beholder. So I'm going to look at this at like different social media apps, different news apps, and we're just going to take a big dive into it. And I'm going to use people from nations, just imaginary figmentations, just to give the point, right? Not because I'm discriminating one nation to another. And I'm not saying that any of these nations that I pick in this, it is just for describing purposes. So I'm going to use your native country if that's okay.
Yeah.
Not because you're doing it, but I'm just going to put it out there to say that you could do it. So when thinking down on building that social media that we was doing that particular time, which was going to incorporate into Osiris, okay? And there was a lot of reasons behind it. However, it didn't. It started to take off, and then the whole thing disappeared. And then, yeah, it started working really well. It got up with the chat. It looked very similar to Facebook, not exactly the same, but very similar to. And then the whole thing disappeared. Then it crashed. Then it wouldn't load up. Then it wouldn't. Oh man, what a nightmare that was. What a shitstorm. Anyway, I can't even remember. It's really weird. You were the one that put me in touch with this particular, and you can't remember it either. Isn't that weird? It's like it's just totally gone from my mind as to what that was called.
Yeah, I can't right now. I can't remember really.
And I also bought an email account for it. Then it totally disappeared. And then the next thing I know, Trump's making a Truth Social or True Social. Anyway, either or. There was a particular reason for doing it because I noticed that, you know, a lot of other nations, which really fascinated me, was China had their own version of Facebook.
Yeah.
And I tried to get on it. And I still was put on a waiting list. I had no access to it, right?
Yeah.
And no criticizing there. And also this thing called WeChat. Because it was interesting to me that you can't sell to China in this aspect. Because if I went on Facebook and then boot an ad and then sold to China, how am I reaching Chinese if they don't use Facebook? Yeah, do you get what I mean? So how can I make a worldwide product or get some information out in the world if only some are using it? And then it's led down a further. I love trees, right? Because of the way they branch out.
Yeah.
And every branch is a possibility, right? That's the way I sort of look at things. So how can I say this in a way that's it also works with food and everything else. So I'm going to make a fictitious group, and I'm just going to call it, I don't know, what should we call it? This group's going to be called 24.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that any other group is doing this, but I'm saying that it could be done like this because the art of war is infiltration.
Yeah.
Always is infiltrate. So we're going to have an imaginary group here called 24. 24's got an objective, okay? They dislike everything here, and this is imaginary Britain, but we're going to say that they don't like anything that Britain do. Okay? Got a big beef with Britain right now. And this group called 24 are going to apply for jobs inside the UK. They're going to get into politics. They're going to get into the council, CP. They're going to get into housing associations. Which that is what that's housing associations is a short word for ha. So almost like ha, you've been had. No, I'm just kidding, but still in this, and they're not going to get in on all of them, but they're going to be very subtle about the way they operate. So they're going to be paid to do a job.
Yeah.
And their job is going to be in the council, that they would have to go around and check for damp and all of this sort of stuff. But they're going to be very aware of their members in this 24 that they work for.
Yeah.
And they're going to test for damp and stuff like that. But this one's going to have a damp property that they're going to give to a certain person that might be able to, you know, different things like that are very influential at the time. And then also, these groups also know of a social media, SM. Yep.
Yeah.
And again, they're a part of 24 as well. And what can happen in this type of situation, hypothetical situation, not saying that any of this is accurate, but again, it could be. Let's say they've got a real big issue with Britain. Now, on their social media account, let's say this comes from another nation called the Czech Republic. CR.
Yeah.
Okay? Imaginary, not true. None of this is true, right? Are we sure none of this is true so far? And this Czech Republic does not like Britain, let's say. Really doesn't like Britain. And they're in control of the social media. This particular group, is in a part of here as well. They own it, and they're going to make a lot of Czech people famous.
Yeah.
Like, you know, influencers and rethinkers and shapers and innovators, right?
Yeah.
Anyone that comes from Britain that has got a brain, so the BB, the British brain, right?
Yeah.
And they post their stuff on their social media, they put it on all the social medias, and that would be like videos, that would be like, I don't know, document areas.
Yeah.
What's it called? WordPress. It was on WordPress.
I think so, yeah.
It just popped into my head. WordPress.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
started building a social media on WordPress, I think it was. A branch of WordPress.
Yeah.
Wow. And then it totally disappeared, and then that was all. Yeah. Anyway, so fucking remembered it finally.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And you know, this social media, you're going to put all of your big brain on there, right? But these are like, oh no, you don't. So they're going to hamper your views.
Yeah.
And what's more, they're going to instruct someone from this group here as well, that one of their people from the Czech Republic, right? Because the Czech Republic people come before anybody else, right?
Yeah.
After all, it's their social media platform. It's their video place. It's their place where they put the words. Let's say, I was thinking about where to place to put words and different stuff like that. And as this person puts it up, this person's going to be making it. And what's more, this is also going to be a part of a bank. A banking system. So BS.
Yeah.
You can either look at that as bullshit, belief system, or banking system. In this one, it's a banking system. But this one comes from this banking system, which then unlocks the funds for this person, so that this person looks like, and the Czech Republic is going to look like it is innovating like anything, just growing in innovation, right? And then they're going to take all of these goods that are being created from this innovating, so innovating goods, yes, IG.
IG.
These innovating goods, they're going to sell back to Britain. Even though it come from someone from Britain, but because they're not a part of this, and Czech Republic wants to be the one on top, you know, because, you know, that's probably, you know, you could say it that way. They're going to limit the amount of views. Anyone that comes from the Czech Republic is always going to be on top. Always. They're going to be famous. Really freaking hell. All the views are going to go there. But anyone from Britain, no. We're not going to let most of those rise up. But Czech Republic are going to have a very snidey thing where they will let people rise up. People that go against British ways, which was created by the 24 inside the council, which then makes you go, fuck this shit. You start getting angry with Britain, right? How do you collapse Britain? Well, you do it from the inside. How do you do it from the inside? Well, you make it look like the people are going at this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, all of this stuff is, they're part of 24, but they don't know about it. They don't know that these people are part of 24. And it's mainly with, you know, Czech Republic is in with 24 as well, but they've got an agenda. And what's their agenda? So the innovation starts booming in another nation, Czech Republic, and they start to sell this stuff back to Britain. And the people in Britain are like, how the fucking hell is this possible? And then they're feeling limited, and they're feeling like, you know, they're being hidden. And then you see some people that you would say are acting like morons. So people getting really close to trains, let's say, whilst they're going by, getting pictures of it. These people are getting really famous on this same social media app. Again, which then puts the idea that British people are very stupid people. Plus, you've got all of these institutions now that start, you know, got these second agendas. They go and get a job, but they've got a second job. Do you know what their second job is? Be bastards. Why? Because this then is responsibility, which would then be Britain. Right? So if you've got anything at the above of Britain, say like any system, it doesn't matter what system it may be, any system that organises Britons. can you start to knock out Britain?
Yeah.
One, there's going to be no more innovation.
Yeah.
Two, the banks then join this 24 that are in Britain, but they're incentivized by the Czech Republic because they're like, just don't give it to these people. And they're like, oh, okay, in hushed tones. Yes, okay, of course, we'll do that.
Yeah.
And then it starts to fall down, but it looks like it's these ones. Oh, you must be fucking denying me access or something. You must be doing this. Are you out of your mind? And then, let's say if you write an email, because now the Czech Republic has now got an email account. Email. And let's say you write an idea over to these ones over here,
Yeah.
but it doesn't get a response. And then you write to these ones over here, but it doesn't get a response. Or it does, but these ones hide it.
Yeah.
You know, the ones that work for 24. Because they're working for 24, so they'll either ignore that type of
Yeah.
way forward. It could be. Not saying that it is.
Yeah.
It's possible. Anything is possible, right? And if I give you an example, if you had someone who was so pro-communism
Yeah.
in Russia come to the United Kingdom or Czech Republic and they get on their platform, are they going to let that rise up? Are they going to get famous or get views? Or are they going to be put to one side? Because that's not good, is it?
No.
So, once again, is it really free? Is it really connectivity? So this is another reason why I want to make a social media account, which was going to be not freedom in the fact that you can have freedom to call on someone because they're different to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you can be racist to them. No. Because they might have a different preference in the type of dates that they want.
Yeah.
Yes? And
Yeah.
where they find love.
Yeah.
You're going to hate... No, none of that. I meant freedom that anyone from anywhere can join and express their views. Whether this, whether that, whether this. And they can express what works where their area and what doesn't work. And then other people from any other nation can come and express what's working and what isn't. And there would be no agenda to shut down any of these individuals because it's a different way of living, different way of living. And somewhere along the lines, if you were a good nation, you would pick the best that comes from all of these. Why? And then you would add it to your arsenal. Why would you do that? Well, because it seems to be quite a thing. If you have someone come from your nation with a good idea and some of it not so good,
Yeah.
and someone else that come from another place and then it was sort of good, sort of not so good, could you then base your political sphere on this to become really good? And the people were like, wow, I really like that. They favour certain bits in the comments. Wow, I love this idea here. I love it. And they focus on the betterment of it.
Yeah.
And then a social media type count, like where you have the freedom to express what you want to express. As long as you are not racist, as long as you are not prejudiced, as long as you are not going against someone because of bloody skin, eye colour, hair colour. You know, not to offend people with your words. But if someone finds that something is going better there, but it ain't going better here, but yet some of the things here are going better in this aspect, but are better in that aspect over there, and people start to say this here, I would be able to look at that and think, can I pull something out of that? It's not pleasing everyone, but it makes a better society for all of us to be in. Bit more of a you know, it's, to me, it's like having a party and different people bring different food to the party.
Yeah.
Right? No one makes the same food. That's guaranteed. But a food that you've never had before, you try it and you're like, oh, I'm not keen on that. And a lot of people are not keen on that particular food. You'll find that. And then someone's like, oh my God, this is gorgeous. Have you tried this? And then you try it. It's like, yeah, this is really, oh my days, this is good, right? Okay, now you got this one, then you got this one, then you got this one. The food that people don't eat, they'll either pick at later.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't like it, it's just that they weren't keen on it at the time.
Yeah.
And then from that, can I get a starter that pleases near enough everybody in that? Can I get a main that pleases everyone? And can I get a dessert that pleases everyone? And anything else, it's but it's not great. Can I get a new meal and a new way of making a recipe and a new course? Could you even open a restaurant with that type of mindset? Yes, you could. Would it be successful? Perhaps it would. But if you went and grabbed all the food that no one liked and and put it into there, would you have it? No, it wouldn't be successful. So you could already know before you opened it whether it was going to be successful or not based on this.
Yeah.
And again, if I kept going with this and kept going with it, could I now start to affect the news in the area?
Yeah.
So I could now start affecting the belief system of individuals, right? I could start now really starting to get into the mind. And then, you see, this can work for you and it can work against you. And then if another leader comes in, they could really use this to do more leftist stuff or rightist stuff. I don't like left and right because it implies that one side is left and one side's more right. Yeah. Even if it's right, it can still be wrong. Do you get what I mean? So my favourite one is that Labour claims to be. Everyone says that Labour's lefties. They're all lefties. They're all lefties. Right. Let's collapse benefits. Right. Let's bring down this. Right. Let's bring down that. Right. And again, you start this whole pinwheel. Who do you truly work for?
Yeah.
Where are your roots?
Yeah.
Because to me, this seems like you're in the wrong party, it would seem. Or perhaps your ideology of the party is no longer what it was. So are you truly Labour? Are you truly a Labour representation? Are you not? And then who's the CEO of Labour that's going to be, looking at that and thinking, I'm not sure about this. This is a little bit out of the value or sort of, or maybe it's a new thing that's going to be wonderful. Or some will say, we're not going to fix the roads. We're going to leave them all crappy and that. And then you got to look at that and think, well, usually you're renowned for sort of doing that expectation. Yeah. There's change, and then there's a 360-degree flip, which would make me question where you're at in this. Because, again, in this type of 24 group, are you a part of this 24 group? Not saying that this is how it is, but I'm just showing you an example. Like I say, it's very fictitious. But if you've got one nation that's saying, we're going to be getting rid of this, and then this nation comes along with the big iron fist and says, we're going to be getting rid of that at the same time, and it's very parallel, but you're claiming to be left, then you are quite right in a wrong sort of sphere.
Yeah.
So, again, it's very weird. And with all of this sort of stuff, then it's also news. What about advertising? Am I going to be more favourable to advertise the Czech Republic stuff and miss out anything else that's happening in Britain? Would you? If you could? Would you? If it was controlled, it's not universal. Everyone says, oh, it's all about connectivity, but why can't I get on that one? Yeah. Why can't I access this one? Yeah. And even if I did access it and I started coming out with my Western ways, they're going to be on that. Fuck that, are you bringing that in here? You'll upset the apple cart. Yeah. That will be looked at as you're a rotten apple. And then, okie dokie. And if I was there and it was all open and free, well, I would be famous, let's say, or you would be famous or whatever it is, this sort of stardom. I don't know what it's called. I don't know another name to give it. But you'd start receiving views and people would be like, oh my days, I didn't even know you had this type of food. Yeah, we got this. And we're also selling these products here as well. Can you get me one? Yeah, I can ship it to you. Well, we didn't think of that here. Oh, shit, I'm not going to sell that. Why should we? Oh, quick, let's shut it down and let's make less views go to it. And then that person might believe, because it's a belief system at the end of the day, psychology. You would then believe that your company's not doing very well. But it's not. It's because you've got lack of views because this country wants to get ahead of you, get a curve on that. Which then drives more wealth into the country. Do you ever think that we can live in this type of this is the type of world we're at the moment? Yeah. And then how much of it could be infiltrated? How much of it could be infiltrated? Yeah. Yeah. Who's got a problem with who? Yeah. Is there a lover's tiff, sort of nice to your face, shake your hand, yes, very good, but behind your back, fuck their wankers. And then could you slowly but surely start to bring it down? And then let's say if you start getting into the food industry. Yeah. I mean, this is when we start crossing a line here. Could you put some stuff in food and experiment on another nation as opposed to yours to find out whether this food is good or not good? Yeah. Could you make them a bit more stupid? Could you dial them back a little bit? Sort of
Make them obese.
obese. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
another one. Could you fatten them up? Could you slim them down? What could you do with the food? I mean, because this used to be looked at as kings do this, right? They have food testers.
Yeah.
I believe in certain cultures there's the kosher.
Yeah.
The food has to be kosher.
Kosher.
I'm not 100% sure on what the reason is for that, but it gets followed by a rabbi, is it?
Yeah.
A rabbi?
Yeah. Rabbi is checking the quality of food.
But that
isn't he?
food doesn't leave the sight of the rabbi, right? Is that how it works? And it has to go through a certain level of standards.
Yeah.
If it falls below a certain standard, the food is no longer kosher.
No, it's not.
No, I'm wrong, or yes, that's how it goes, or...
Yeah, I think that's how it is. Yeah.
And then, yes, as I see the point of that, but who's guarding this from a population standpoint? Because a nation is not as strong as your kings or queens, but it's also as strong as your people that support you.
Yeah.
And if they're getting ruffled feathers, they're going to be aiming at you
Yeah.
because they won't know that this agenda could be happening. And if it could happen
Yeah.
in make-believe land, imagination,
Yeah.
then is there an area of to be looking at this from a bit more of a perspective of where we all sit in that? And then where is the true protection in that? Because there can always be sleight of hand.
Yeah.
What looks good on the surface, deep down, might have quite a rotten core.
Yeah.
But, you know, food can look really bad, right?
Yeah.
But if you were to cook it all up and everything else, I don't know, I dare say, would you actually know it was bad, or would it still taste just as good and look good because you've made it look it? I mean, could you then start adding different chemicals into the food and different things like that, which then might make you a little bit less able to think? Rather than an energy drink, there might be some sort of more sluggish drink, as opposed to what boosts.
Yeah.
What boosts in
for
the
a little
immediate
bit and then
drops you down.
and then drops you. Yeah. Yeah.
Another way of this is if you were to add nicotine to tobacco products or something like that, and then remove the nicotine, add nicotine, remove nicotine.
Yeah.
Could you affect somebody's
Yeah.
stress level on this? I'm not 100% sure. I think so. Again, this seems quite, you know, we're falling into a realm of placebo as well on this one as well. So how do placebos fare up for animals then?
It doesn't.
Yeah, you know, I
Yeah.
hear that some people say that the placebo is really strong, and that means that you can do this, this, and this. And then it's like, what about animals?
Yeah.
How do you convince an animal that you're giving it a tablet
Yeah. And it's gonna do something.
and it's going to do something, and then the animal would have to believe in the tablet more so than so
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So again, the placebo thing works to a degree to me, but it falls short at animals.
Yeah.
So can you give an animal a placebo and it thinks that it's going to get better from it?
No.
Or can you give an animal a tablet that's a sugar pill?
No. Animals do not understand tablets, do they?
So placebo, I mean, is it, can you give an animal a sugar pill and it gets better?
They usually do not want any pill
Yeah,
if you
there really
try.
is, like, anything they can to
So
not
I
eat
doubt
it.
I doubt they believe in any placebo.
So does that work in a placebo in the negative then for an animal, because you're trying to give it something that it doesn't want? And then therefore, does that create the reverse of the placebo, which then makes it not work or not as effective because you are forcefully giving it to an animal? I mean, it's kind of weird for me, tablets and animals, because you would think that they'd have made a paste by now that goes into a food and that they're giving it into the food, as opposed to a big pill, gotta take it like this, eat it like that, rather than mix it up into some sort of food sachet somehow
Yeah.
so that they can eat it, which then doesn't cause them so much stress. Anyway, that one's far-fetched from it, but when I start to look at it like this is where I was sort of venturing down the, on WordPress, this is where I was sort of going with this, but again, it would have been a stepping stone to then, if it started to garner and started to become quite a bigger social media, then there would have been the option to buy it and then add revenue and then bring it into the United Kingdom as the first. Britain doesn't have their own social media. We don't have it. we rely on everybody else for this sort of stuff, and then are we wide open in that type of net? And then if we've got individuals that have a job, but their job is an agenda job, this works for in the positive and it works for in the negative.
Yeah.
And then it depends on the agenda and then what type of battle is going. I mean, it gets really confusing because everyone's under the illusion or impression that battles happen on a battlefield, that it comes with raining weapons and, you know, all of this, which it doesn't. It doesn't. And then if we had a social media platform in Britain, are we going to be more favourable towards people in Britain? Let's say if we had a social media in Britain, and then we put some out in the EU and we put some out in Germany and Australia, let's say, are we going to be more favourable in the reverse of this to make people only in Britain famous into all of these nations in order to start making a sort of belief system? Well, I want to be like that person. If I be like that person on the YouTube platform in Britain, I don't know, it's not YouTube, but again, there's the way you can understand it. If I'm going to be like that person in Britain, that means I might get some likes. That means I might get some views. And then they start acting like it in Australia, but they will never get that way. The whole thing was caused so that they act like that, which if their government was like, not sure I like that. I'm not sure I really like that. Stop acting like that. You know, and then it's like, oh, see, they're communists. Well, dictators, sorry. Dictators, sorry. I don't mean communists. Sorry, forgive me. You know, I'm on the fence between them all, right? There is some good in communism and there's some good in democracy. You know, there's good and bad in both.
Yeah.
Right? So, I'm more, intelligent enough to know that there is good points in one and there's bad points in another, and then there's imperialism. There's another one. What else is there? It's not just imperialism, democracy, dictatorship, capitalism, and there's another. So there are good and bad points in all of these things, and yet nothing else has ever riz up from this. Whereas my looking at that would be like, I wonder if I take a little bit of this, little bit of this, little bit of this, little bit of this. Can I formulate a new party based on these principles of all the sort of goodness in there?
Yeah.
And then does that help the population? Does it make it move further? Are you more, influential? Whereas it would be more like everybody in every nation seems to be saying the same thing. Is that they, it's not everyone saying the same thing, but there's this freedom of expression is very strong in all of these, that people want to have their voice.
Yeah.
That's where that is. Secondly, in that, everyone wants to be treated equally. That's the next thing.
Yeah.
If people were treated equally or felt that they were treated equally, there wouldn't be such an outcry for it. Because, and then you'd have to, if there is, everything is equal, then people are not stupid. They wouldn't be reaching out for something if they felt they were getting it.
Yeah.
Like someone saying, I want a car, but they've got a car. But I want a car. No one's ever doing that, right? I really want a car, but you've got a car. No, I want a car. But this is a car. Yeah, but I want a car. Right? They tend to stop asking for the thing that when they get it, right?
Yeah.
So, neither for nor against, but this sort of stuff, this could be, the sort of new age where we're at. And, and I was under the belief system that connectivity was to bring us all together.
Yeah.
In actual fact, I don't know if it is bringing us all together, if we've got, why the need them for so many different ones? And yet, then Britain is slow to the party. The EU, are we slow to the party on this one?
Yeah.
And then, can this shape the way the world moves or adjusts? Because it only takes a few, and it can't just take one leader in one to say, hey, we're going to start doing this. And I'm not saying that any of this is true. I'm just saying that if it is true, it wouldn't take one. It would take a lot of different individuals working in different types of high places, let's say, in order to sort of start this sort of, they sort of give the signal sort of thing without giving the signal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Could you then really change the mindset of individuals? That's the placebo. Placebo, for me, more powerfully, is what ads you're bombarded with.
Yeah.
And if it was your nation that made this,
Yeah.
could you bombard me with ads that were just related to this, but you see less ads of what's coming from locally?
Yeah.
You're not seeing local ads, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Like you could walk down the road and then there's this farmer selling all of this stuff, and then you're like, hang on a minute, I didn't know about this. Wow, it's a fraction of the price. Can I have this? Yeah, can I have something? They're not exactly. And then when you say to them, oh, how come you're not doing it like that? Oh, it's too expensive.
Yeah.
And then can we move money this way and then put it into a different pot?
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to food, which one's going to dominate over the rest? And then if you've got terrible housing associations, but then you've got a few that don't act like this, but then you've got a few that do act like this, then wait a minute. Why can they do it, but you can't? Or you appear not to?
Yeah.
Who's tugging your chain?
Yeah.
Then what type of the side of the fence are you on? And then, is that a fair and equal society?
Yeah.
That's where Osiris was going to. The computer technology of Osiris that was under wraps. And I reached out to a few individuals sort of thing, and I never heard nothing. All I heard was birds, apparently. I just heard birds. Literally.
Yeah.
Now, is that just because it's so unlucky? But yet then I see others starting to build this stuff, and then I was like, hang on a minute. Hold on a fucking second. Is this really happening, or is this just me? And then I wonder if anybody else has been in this sort of situation where you've had a really great idea, and then the sort of thing is you're reaching out to people. You might not have the funding. You got the know-how to build it.
Yeah.
You got the know-how to build the groups to help, formulate this.
Yeah.
But yet you're lacking funds, or in lack mindset, as they say. Oh, it's because you're lacking, you attract what you think about. Again, that belief system is very, it must be because I just am not abundant mindset. I'm in lack mindset.
Yeah.
Right, you are. So bankers then,
Yeah.
all people that work in banks must be abundant mindset.
Yeah.
And then the ones that print the money, they must be in super abundant mindset. It doesn't really matter whether a banker is in abundant mindset or lacking mindset.
Yeah.
They're still generating wealth.
And people who come to get money from their account are in luck mindset.
And then you mean to tell me that someone who's got houses, you mean to tell me that they've never once been in lack mindset? They've always been in abundant mindset. And that's why they've accumulated more and more houses. Honestly, because you just didn't believe it, and man, that feels to me, that feels like brainwashing to me.
That doesn't make.
And then
much
that means
sense.
that all people who are in attract mindset stay in that attract abundant mindset 24/7, and they never ever have a day where they're lacking mindset ever, because they've got discipline, because they've got this. This is what you haven't got. You've got the reverse of this, and then I'm just like, man, if you walk the path I had. And you're in this situation that's unfolding here. I think we're in quite an abundant mindset, but it doesn't matter. In the weeks that I'm in abundant mindset, nothing changes. But in the time that I'm in lacking mindset, everyone's jumping on you. That's why the situation is the way it is. You're attracting it. I don't think so.
No.
So how come then this abundant and lack mindset isn't fluctuating then? Because if my mindset would be fluctuating, I'm more in abundant than I am in lack, but yet it fluctuates. It's not perfect, and to try and claim to be perfect and be in this 100% mindset. Do you ever think that someone who's religious ever questions religion for a few days? Just sits there and questions it.
Yeah, probably. I would think they might when something happens and they feel like they are depressed or something for a bit because something happened. They are like, oh my God, you forgot me or something like that.
Yeah. Or
Maybe.
God, why?
Yeah.
Why
yeah.
is this happening? Do you ever think
Yeah.
that someone
Yeah.
who's religious
Yeah.
who has got the collar ever once thinks in their mind,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
what am I doing?
Yeah.
Is this really working out for me?
Yeah.
And then this is like what, once now and then they must have it because they're not perfect. No one is perfect.
No one is perfect.
And no one can stay in a mindset continuously.
No, I've seen it in when I worked in smaller companies that there were meetings obviously, and then they have the chart that goes up and down, and they talk about what can they do to improve this or why this going down, and so no, it's not.
So to be in an abundant mindset, so the priestess,
Yeah.
can have some times where they're just like, I don't know, man. I'm not sure. God, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm really questioning this.
Yeah.
You're making things like this. And then for months later, they're in that total God mindset. And
Yeah.
then for a little bit, they might be in a little bit of sort of, oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's realistic.
Yeah.
And it's a realistic expectation to expect people who own houses think, shit, I might have bitten off more than I can chew here. Oh no, is this going to work? Oh, I might have just put down a bit. And then they talk about, I hear people that are successful, they talk about how stressful it is. You have no idea the stress, man. And I'm just like, well, I thought you lot were always in abundant mindset. That's what makes you your millions, right?
Yeah. So
And
you
then
shouldn't be
you
stressed.
are chasing an illusion. The reason why you haven't got a successful business is because you're always in lack mindset. That's what it is. It's because you're in lack mindset. You're not staying in abundance. So you're trying to get into this abundant mindset, but you're not being realistic. That's like saying that everybody's happy all the time. No one's truly happy all the time.
No.
That you fluctuate. You're probably more predominantly happy, and you have days where you're not so happy.
Yeah.
Perhaps you lose a loved one.
Yeah.
You drop. Perhaps something goes wrong in your family, a relationship breakup, or anything else like that's going to drain your energy. It's going to bring you down for a bit, perhaps, and then you're going to start to climb back up. It's not about, you see, realistic. So you chase an illusion. You're chasing an illusion. You're chasing a rainbow if you think that you're going to be in an abundant mindset all the time and that you're going to be positive all the time. That's an illusion, and you're going to continuously chase it and think, I'll be ready once I get into this abundant mindset. I'll be ready once I get into it. When in actual fact, it's got to be realistic. It's got to be realistic. And a realistic mindset is, yeah, you're going to fall down. You're going to get knocked down. But I tell you what, I guarantee you'll always get back up again. That's what really counts. And then you're in more of a realistic mindset. And then we're tracing perfection, but perfection doesn't exist. We're not going to be always up there. So, for me, with that, yeah, it feels like an illusion. Like you're chasing an illusion, a mirage. You're trying to get to a mirage. In the distance, I see water in the desert. You can keep running to that as much as you want. You're not going to be drinking water. Because it is an illusion.
Yeah.
So wealth's always at the. I mean, it sounds catchy, doesn't it? It sounds very catchy. It can make a lot of money. I'm going to teach you how to be positive all the time. That ain't realistic to me. That's not realistic. So yeah, with this, if you had this, and we could switch this around, and we could say the Czech Republic and Britain. Either or, it doesn't really matter. I was just using that as an example. I feel that you granted me permission to do so before we start the video. And during the video, I asked just at the start. No disrespect to anybody anywhere in the world. This is just asking the question. And then, are we going to become more aware of this? That you could also be chasing an illusion, because unless this is all equal to everybody, and are we living in an equal world yet? I think there's still changes being made. Are we living in an equal world where everybody can be, and then are views really authentic?
Yeah, because
We don't know.
can't you buy them?
Yes, you can buy views. Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, sure.
Then what's the
Even
point of it?
advertising is buying views.
Yeah.
But again, you might be more successful in this nation over here and get loads of likes, but not in your own. And then you often got to sit back and think about that. Like, is that because everyone in Britain doesn't care, but yet somebody here does care? Doesn't make any sense, right? You would think that this would appeal to people who are educated in a mindset.
Yeah.
You're educated individuals. Why is it only reaching out to educated people over here, but not educated people here?
Yeah.
And then that means that I could only formulate something over here with these educated people, which is a million miles away from you, but not in your own neighborhood, where it would be more easier to prosper and grow this.
Yeah.
We're often got to be careful when we look at views as success and when we look at likes as success, when we don't know who handles what behind the scenes. Because you could do this. If you had some people in Russia, let's say, who were more democracy-minded and individuals who were more communist-minded, which ones are going to get more views? Logically thinking.
Communist?
Well, it would be, wouldn't it? Because it would be more favourable in that aspect. And then these people are going to get famous, right? It appears to anybody else in that mindset, yes?
Yeah.
And why is that? Well, because it keeps that going. It's no different to news. Look, if you act like this person, look at what you can get. Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. However it may be. Smiley face, smiley face, smiley face. A circle, a circle, a circle, or a tick, or a tick, or a tick.
Yeah.
And someone that's acting like this might get a lot of crosses. Or no views at all.
Yeah.
They think, nah, I'm going to give up. But that's not a reason to give up. That's more than every reason to keep going. Because this way is easy, isn't it? Just follow the crowd. Follow everybody else. Do what everybody else is doing. Why is that? Well, because everybody else is doing it. And if you comply, you fit in. But now let me give you another example then. What if you had one that wasn't open and free to everybody?
Yeah.
It was really done by people and traffic. Some people were like this for a little bit. And then it was going to drop down, and then some people are going to move. It's going to move with moods.
Yeah.
The tide. It's going to bounce from people to people. So I asked the question again. If you had someone who was more in Britain, let's say, if we owned a social media app, are we going to have people who are more communist-minded or more democracy-minded or bureaucracy or imperialistic-minded or anything else like that? What are we going to have in here? If it was handlers, if you had handlers on it,
Democracy?
we're going to go for more favourable for democracy. Everybody act like this, walk like this, talk like this, wear the clothes like this, act like this. Look at the likes. See? There's got to be something real in it, because look at this.
And some who favor kingdom as a kingdom because they love the royals and love to watch them.
XYZ, and it can be worked in the reverse effect. Perhaps people in Britain like people in the royal family, but yet perhaps you could have agenda going on behind the scenes. Well, we don't like people in that. Ugh. Shut them down a little bit. Give them at least lesser reach. It's more reach than it used to be. But it could be restricted reach all the same. If you think about it. So if you had one that was free, and I mean free, you're going to see changes happen. Well, this is pretty good over here. I didn't know you did it like this. That side of it's pretty shitty, because people are going to say it from a democracy country are going to say, well, that side of it is really shit. And then someone in that is going to say, but this side of it is really good. And then if this person then made a video, the same thing would probably happen. And then what you'll get to see is this type of, hang on a minute, there's middle ground. There's room for another group to merge up and become a new party somewhere that favours quite a lot. And then are you truly then should that reflect in your views, or not views, your votes? If you've got one that's more one-sided, and they can see the positive and the negative, and then you've got one on the other side that's more positive and negative, and now you've got one that's incorporated both the good from that, you're always going to find people that grow into that, but you'll see a change that people will vote for this more as opposed to that, more as opposed to that. But this new one now in the middle, and then we're going to have a new rolling process in that if it was truly free.
Yeah.
You know, so to make the social media, bring it over to Britain, buy it out. There was a really big, that was quite a bit. I kept it under my hat for a while. You know, it didn't end up going that way. I guess it's probably because I wasn't saying where I was going to be heading with this.
Yeah.
So I don't think it materialized. I think it got stopped. Personally, that's how I feel. I could be wrong. And then I was going to lock myself out of it.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, what's there? It would have been set up in a way that, you know, keywords. So even if you wrote a post that was offending somebody, the AI on this, which would have been looking at, would have just shut it out. Just gone straight there. You as soon as you press enter, that post would just disappear. And I say, oh, that's not fair. I don't know. We should have a level of rights, freedom of speech. Yes. But freedom of hate in that, or to cause somebody else to feel really, really bad about themselves, that's not acceptable.
No, it's not.
And I think everyone can get round a table on that. I really do. So, and you never really know how it feels until someone in your family walks away from, let's say, one day, you know, I hear talks, you know, what if I was like this? I mean, that's cool. Yeah, but what would other people... Again, it's that pressure there.
Yeah, yeah.
It would stop that from immediately from even formulating, and you know, then it would just then be about AI be the middle ground, if you like.
Yeah.
This states here.
Yeah.
You know, there's a fine line between freedom of speech and then using words to seriously either A, drive people away because they don't look good.
Yeah.
Not all of these people are what you say they are, because there's a group, and a group mentality is there. If you get what I mean. So again, you've probably got some really, you know, even during the war, they'll say, oh, this person's bad, that person's bad. But not everybody there is agreeing with that type of situation that's appearing. And not everybody here is agreeing with that type of situation that's appearing. But it doesn't mean that they are all the same. You're all the same.
Yeah.
You know, from an identity standpoint, perhaps there's some very quiet voices there that are a bit, you know, a bit more this way, but you know, you'll be like, oh, I can't trust you because you're a fucking da 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 da. You know, again, it's that's not a fair representation of, you know, they might have filled their mind up with stuff that was equal to what you did. It doesn't. You shouldn't judge for that.
Yeah.
And have some hatred towards it, because what you're essentially doing is saying that there's no room here for you. Go away. This causes conflict. Later on, this will start to cause a conflict again. Can you stamp that out before it happens? Yes, I believe you can. So yes, there's freedom of speech. Yes, there's freedom of expression, but to a degree, I think, give or take. So, you know, there's to talk about something.
Yeah.
In a way to understand and educate. Fair enough. Wonderful. But in a way that sort of, you know, I don't know about that. I'm sort of, where do you draw the line between that? You know?
Yeah.
You bloody poor person. You ain't never going to amount to nothing, you, because you are bloody blah.
Yeah.
That is at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know? And then this person might say, well, I'm like this because perhaps the job industry is not opening up enough for this, and this, and they won't, you're not there to fill the needs of this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Then that's not that individual's fault then, is it? But yet you're hating on it because it's you think that it is, because somebody's guided you towards that sort of belief system.
Because they have to go and do something stupid in your eyes.
Basically, what you're saying is, I am better than you.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing in that, I think. So, and that's not education. That's not highlighting the difficulty there. I see it from this point of view, blah, 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 blah. Have you tried it like this, and this? That is constructive.
Yeah. Yeah.
As opposed to the other way. You are just this, and this. That is destructive.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure. I'm not saying that any of this is real, and I'm not saying that any of it isn't. I'm just saying that this is how I was looking at it from a perspective. And then there's true connectivity. True connectivity where everybody has a right to say this, and this from anywhere where you come from. What do you got to sell? What do you not got to sell? What do you do? How do you do? And then sort of like everybody gets a chance at that wheel. We would see views all over the place. It's weird that you see no views out of a whole different genre of individuals and personalities out there. And you mean to say that there isn't anybody who's sharing the same thoughts that you are, and they have not found you, and you haven't found them? Isn't that weird? No views whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little strange. That's really strange to me.
That is because.
Hey, it weren't for me, but I saw this person. Look,
Yeah,
this is more you. I know you, They have a look at it. Yeah, sort of. No, yes, maybe, So I find this very strange that there would be nothing. Literally nothing. If, when you talk to people out on the street, you get a reaction. Wow. You can stop people when on their everyday busyness in a city somewhere, and you come out with this stuff and people stop. What did you just say? And then they stop and listen. They start listening. How come these numbers start really growing quite a lot to the point where more people are stopping and watching, and yet then when you move over to a digital platform, nothing? That's a big difference between, and then the difference is that, how is it that there's nothing stopping these people and they're engaging back with you?
Yeah.
There's a back and forth dialogue happening, although it's intermittent with a crowd. So I often find that a little, there's a difference there. There's a difference quite a lot. And when you say it, people are then like, oh my God, yeah, I've been thinking that, but never actually thought it. The stuff that's on your back of your mind, that you sort of sit there churning away at. You don't really bring it to the conscious part, but the subconscious is thinking about it, but you're sort of aware, but you don't pay it that attention.
Yeah.
And then somebody else says it, and it's like, boom, yes, this, and then they go, you can clearly see that they've been subconsciously thinking about it, and only now have they brought it into the conscious mind because you said it, or because they said it, or because this person said it. You've had those sort of eureka moments where it's like a firefly effect, like these sparks happen in everybody's minds, and then it then starts to grow. Another branch reaches to another branch, and then oh yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. So, there's the lack of that sort of thing. And then, in school, although out of circle, different things like that. But when I did speak, people turned, people listened. I mean, to a point where it really did, sometimes it was really challenging for the teacher to regain that sort of, I don't know, the sort of order there, if you like. But, and then, while the teacher was there, yes, okay, we regain the order, right? You need to get out, you're being told off or whatnot. But yet, then when it came to break or something like that, the conversation would pick back up. Or after school, it'd all pick back up again. And then there would be even more deeper talking, like stoics, stoicism. And then it would formulate. And before you know it, everybody's talking about it. That sort of, the power in that. There's a lot of power in that. But again, you sort of got this sort of, I don't know, there's a big difference. And why is there that big difference? I think the answer becomes quite obvious in that perhaps it's looked at as perhaps disruptive, or it isn't going against. And perhaps those people near you begin to, and then, someone at the top somewhere, perhaps, if you want to say top, might be like, this is what we're on about. This is what we're feeling this. Actually, look, no, come on, let them. We can make that happen. Okay, let's go. Tell us more. We're listening. We're listening. This is awesome. Could you do you reckon that you could sort of set this up?
Mhm.
No problem. And then you get real big changes start to happen in your nation as a result of that.
Mhm.
And then we see this as sort of stopped over time.
Yeah.
And then there's sort of like no more inspiration in Britain anymore. There's no more of that. It seems to be fizzling out.
Yeah.
And people then begin to start looking and thinking, well, this must be you.
Mhm. Yeah.
This is definitely you. And then there's that whole that growing movement of it's them, it's this, that, and the other, and then maybe you might start getting some, because CR might be like, oh, that's really what we want. Oh, we like that. That's good. Other people, be more like this person here.
Mm.
Like. I'm not saying that it is, but again, it's I had a lot to think about when creating this, and I didn't just give it like the Osiris designs and everything else. That is just a very small percentage of the amount of mind. It's a hell of a rabbit hole. It's an iceberg. It's you just the tiniest bit. But usually, if I were to draw things like that, like anybody else, you've done an awful lot of back thinking into this. There's much like a brain with the cells, the way it sparks off into another, and then these bridge out into others and into others and into others. That's the type of thought that goes into it, sort of like branches from one to the other. I love thinking. I love thinking. I really do. I will put a lot of passion into it and dive into a lot of subjects. But, I don't just hit the surface layer. I like to dive into it. I like to embody myself. I think I'm like anybody else, to be honest. Loads of people do this. I think we embody it. Yeah, and I think that's the thought of that. That's where we were going with that. And for whatever reason, it worked, and then it just the next time I refreshed the page, it disappeared. Like it was all there, it was all going, and then it all disappeared. Right? I tried again, take my steps again. It was confusing, I'm not gonna lie. Freaking confusing that was.
Yeah.
A lot to get your head around. And then, doosh, gone. So, I don't know. Coincidence? I'm not sure. I don't know. It's such a coincidence, really, is it? There's so many coincidences, really, but, yeah, I don't know. No, I'm not sure, to be honest, but yeah, it's a lot of... Yeah, I don't know. And then in the workplace, where I've been in the workplace, and then I say these things, man, the head turns that you get. Look at you like, what the hell? You mean like this? Yeah. So I could do this, and yeah. Oh, that's really good. And then somebody else chimes in with them. It's like it's a bit like a dolphin where they blow a bubble or they make a ring and they sort of pass it on to each other, and it sort of comes back and sort of. Wow, a lot of the workplace. Yeah, this got me a lot of popularity actually, quite a bit. And sometimes that attention is sometimes a little bit. I don't know. They want to come to you for problem solving, like quite a bit. So there's an awful lot of. There is jealousy in it as well. Some people just absolutely adamantly hate it, but a larger amount of people love it. And then there's always been that sort of, I don't know, sort of that. And then in groups as well, especially in groups, when you get talking and sort of stuff like that, the conversations are always so deep. And I think this is where you end up touching people and they end up touching you, because where you're going deep, they are also going deep and deep and deep. And then it's formulating, it starts to build. Just like Stoics, they weren't chatting shit. They were bouncing off of each other with ideas, and then perhaps somebody else will come back. And I reckon they were resurfacing ideas that they probably had been start off a conversation, and it just grows, and they pass it, and it grows and grows, and then perhaps they then bring in a new conversation, and then go back to this old one, and then still grow that one, and then go back into this one, and then grow this one. And I think that's what Mayans were doing, and Egyptians, and sort of they were just growing this sort of. You plant a seed and it turns into a tree, and then that tree drops seeds, and then you've got a forest. And before you know it, you know, you cover the planet in greenery, let's say. So, yeah, that is very interesting. So it does cause a perhaps a bit of a, you know, some people will come in the factory or different places like that where I have worked, or cafes or different things like that, and they're like, this is not the time for it. Like, fuck me, it's like being at school again. You know, they sort of come in and want to shut it down, sort of thing, or because you know, and then you start thinking, wow, how could we make this a little bit more quicker or interesting, and this, that, and the other, and you know, there's been a few examples of if we got this work done at this particular factory really quickly, I was under the impression that once I got the quota done and we all got the quota done, we could go home. But then that didn't happen. So we had managed to make that company, you know, we'd done a week's work in a day. And then we thought we could go home. And it would be like, well, you'd still pay us though, right? Because this is going to still make revenue. It was about this much. No. And then they started finding us bullshit work to do, which was then go and clean the freezer out. And then there was stuff in there that, you know, considering it was a factory, this stuff would have had the place shut down because of how old it was. And it's just been left in the back of a freezer. It's way past all of its dates. Way past it, like beyond anything. So we had to go and clean out all of that. So we done that. And it was, all right, here you go, you're going to sweep the floor. It's like, man, I'm not a cleaner. This is not what I'm paid to do. You're paid to do what we tell you to do. And then it was very much, wow, that's interesting to me. We managed to do the work, a week's worth of work in a day. We then had to go on to something else. So we had done 2 weeks worth of work and then like 3 days, I think it was, something like that. And there was so much of it that the job was done, but the company that they were selling this to didn't cut back on paying them. They paid them full amount, but we got it done quicker. Then towards the end, they then told us to slow down. That was it, you got to slow down. Wait, what? You got to slow down. And then in a moment ago, it was speed up. Then we speed up because, you know, I was under the impression of that we would get to go home and we would be paid for it because, you know, if we went really slow, you know, we would be paid. Well done, company. You can shut down the factory for a week. You'll save on electricity. You don't need to keep people there. You can save on insurance. You don't need this, this, and this. Then you don't need to be there and you've got other things to be getting on with. I've got a life to be living rather than being here. My life is not to live here, but be here near enough 90% of it. And then the rest of the 10%, I'm asleep. I'm in bed. I go to bed, wake up. Oh, now I'm back here. 90% of my time is here. My life, born on the planet. If you'd have said to me before I was born, oh, by the way, do you want to go there and work your ass off all the time? No, I don't. I'll work my ass off, yeah, but give me my life. And you're not going to pay me for my life? And the anger, the anger that just sort of started building up in everybody. You see it. It was becoming unbearable, to be honest. But then that's you. You were responsible for that anger. How am I responsible for it? Well, you gave them that idea. Because I'm under the impression that you get paid to do the work. The workload was done. If we did it short, no, that's not how it works. You are paid to be in here. Oh, now you've changed it. So now we're paid to be in this factory. That's what we're paid for, to be in here. So that, didn't like it. Hated it. Fucking angry at that.
Yeah.
And that's the best that we've got. That's the best that we can do. That's it. So basically, we're not paid to do work. We're paid to stand in this factory. Yeah. And these are people that are paid quadruple more money than you to just stand there all day, just looking. Just looking. Doing nothing, just standing. They're on 4 times the salary you are. Salary, mind you. Company car. They just stand there all day,
Hmm.
just watching, just watching. Go to them with a problem. There's a bit of a situation. Well, go figure it out then.
Hmm.
That's what you're paid to do. Figure it out. Well, okay, I'll do your work for you then. Fucking hell, I could do that. Just stand there all fucking day and be paid fucking shitty amount. And what's more, they get to swan off whenever they want, get breaks when they want, walk out when they want, leave for as long as they want. And it's like, there are not windows in this place. They get to sit in their car,
Hmm.
drive off, come back, drive off, come back. I mean, what the hell, man? So I guess you're not paid to be in this particular building, but yet we are all paid and we have to stay in this building, and our payment is to be in this building, not to do the work. But yet, under the guise of the contract, it was paid to do work. You're paid for your labor.
Hmm.
So if I work more and earn you more, in the end, they were able to pull in another contract
Hmm.
in that time because you're then able to do more.
Yeah.
And they wanted to pay you the exact same amount, but you're making them now quadruple amount. I didn't like it. I did not like that.
Hmm.
Hated it. Biggest lie ever, that is. Literally, the whole thing is you just sold a lie. And then the gateposts move every single time. The goalposts, I should say, move each time. And you tell me what that's all about then? You work hard, you get paid for it. No, you don't. No, you don't. You stay inside a building somewhere and you get paid for it. So yeah, then they had us cleaning out this, then they had doing this, and then sweeping this. Then, right, we've done that. Sweep it again. Yeah, that's then when it really started to grind me. That did. I kind of felt like a slave in this situation now. Now I'm slave labor because it's that's what it felt. It's like a very angry, very, very angry in that. So again, not my life, is it?
No.
So again, that did something. That did something quite a bit. So yeah, if I had people in my company that pulled through and worked their asses off, and they got a week's worth of work done in a day, go home. You earned it. You'll be paid. Go home. Go live your life. Well, if we do it again next week, sure. If you're pulling this in, wonderful. Now that gives me the option to hire other people to do another week's worth of work in a day. That would then give me more revenue, wouldn't it? And then I'd be able to pay them and then pay these. What would be so harmful in that? You earned it. You got a life. You got a family. Go home. Go do you. You know, not keep moving the goalposts. Oh, we could do this every day then, couldn't we? You're not bees, you're people. We are not animals. Or did I miss something in the law? Some people probably want to stay. Well, do you want some overtime? Oh, of course I do. And then do you think that increases work productivity? Do you think that creates morale?
No.
Yeah, this was how I would change it. If Terry doesn't do businesses, but if he did, they'd probably be the best businesses in the world. You can work, you can pull your weight, and you do it really well. Well done, you. Not exactly going to give you a gold star, but there you are. You earned your freedom. Go. Yeah, go plant some trees somewhere or something, you know? Yeah, go for a walk somewhere, collect some seeds somewhere, and go plant something, you know? Just give back to the nature, you know? Just give a little bit back. We took quite a bit, but give a bit back. Go do you. If you work hard, you know, you get your life, but we don't actually see that.
Doesn't happen.
You know, if you want to stand here pointlessly, go for it. If it makes you feel like you got a purpose or something, feel free. If you don't, and you got something else better to do, go do it. You got a home, go live in it. After all, you're paying an awful lot of your wages into that. Go on. Go and enjoy it. You want to sun it up? Go sun it up. You got your grass to cut or something? You got your car to wash? What do you need to do? You know, you want to go clean your windows? Off you go. Big difference. Big freaking difference. But yeah, there you are. But again, it's just because I see things are slightly a little bit different done. I mean, what looks more prosperous to people in the world? You know, go and do that. You got it done. Here's a couple of days. You did a couple of days. Go on, go home. Will still be paid? Of course you will. If you manage to do a week's work in a couple of days, go home. You earn it. Poets' Day. Come on. What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
What looks more healthier? What looks more appealing to the kids that are growing up? That or that? Oh, I've run out of things for you to do. You're going to start doing some jumping jacks for me, please. You do some jumping jacks. You go over there and twizzle a hoop. I want you to flick rubber bands. Can you count all my paper clips for me? Right, you go get my treasury tags. You start counting those. I want the ones that are more frayed to less frayed. In that alignment, please. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's weird. I find that is piss take.
Yeah.
But there you are. So, I mean, when you look at it for what it is, doesn't it make prison look appealing?
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Take a look at it. People in jail say, you know, your freedom. I'm free. And then you've got people in work that are saying, nah, I'm free. Freedom. Who's truly in the cage? Well, that's on perspective, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you stand sideways to those bars and have a look. Pointlessly being somewhere. Just pointlessly being. That's weird, man. I find that freaking weird. You know, all the workers got all of the houses sorted at a housing association, the staff members. Go home. Will I be paid? Of course you will. Rent still get paid. You earned it. Go home. What you got? Side business? You got side hustle? Go put into that. Feel free. Wait, what? Well, you've done it. If all the fixes have been fixed and all the stuff has been done.
Yeah.
However, I got an extra project that I would like to put into these houses, if that's possible. Yeah, okay then. All right, I'll need you here just a couple of days extra this week, if that's all right. Fucking right. Once that's all put in, go home. We'll just be near your phone, because if anything emergency goes down, I'll call you when we need you. You're retained. Just be available. No point sitting in a fucking building somewhere doing shit all. Man, you can do that in your own home. I don't know. I just see it different. I just see it very different, and I don't see what the problem would be with to have this difference. Perhaps there would be something, you know. Oh no, they will overbuy stuff. How?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm kind of bored. All right, well then let's stretch out some painting then. I don't know. I don't know. I like my own company. Do you like your own company? Can you do shit in your own company? Unless you're a person that just loves to be furniture. Go do it nice and slow and this, that, and the other. But what you will find is these companies, what they'll do is give you even more work.
Yeah.
Even more work. Even more work. And then this even more workload is every single day.
Yeah.
What do you think goes through resources quicker? You can have people that do a week's worth of work in a couple of days, let's say for argument's sake, but then you get them to do another week's worth of work in another couple of days, and then one day they do what? Half a week's worth of work in a day.
Yeah.
What are you going through?
I don't know.
Tons and tons and tons.
Yeah.
We gotta put this on shops. This needs to sit on shelves.
Mm.
Yeah. Right, let's leave this
Yeah.
one here because I think we're proud enough. There you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.